Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you in to the world of professional wrestling. I'm Fisher and I'm here with one of my co-hosts today, Krusty.
Hey everyone.
So this is going to be a special video regarding it's going to be talking about the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was unveiled on Raw on Monday. Triple H coming out and announcing it. We're not going to do weekly, segments this week. We're just going to discuss this belt and maybe what we think of the design, what it means for like the Roman Reigns situation, and also potential first champions, which obviously they announced the first champion will be decided at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So let's talk about the belt design itself. Krusty, what did you think when you first saw the belt?
It just screamed Triple H to me. When I think Triple H, I think heavyweight title, big gold title, and it just looks exactly like that. It looks a lot more classical style, but they've still got the more modern with the W in the middle.
Yeah,
I really like it. It looks very prestigious.
yeah.
I always loved that title, and I was really sad when they retired it. So I'm really pleased it's back, and it just looks the part. I've never been too keen on the red and blue title.
I don't like the Universal title particularly. The WWE one, again, I think the W is probably a bit too big. This has got the perfect blend of that classic design, the gold, and also still has the marketing value of the WWE logo.
Yeah, no, I really do like it.
I did divide opinion a little bit online. I think probably 75% of the stuff I saw was probably positive, liking the design. A few people, are like, oh, it's basically the big gold belt, but with the big W in it. But I just think this day and age, like branding's so important. All the companies,
they need to have the W, because if anything, that would be the bit that I would remove, the big massive W in the middle. But as you say, it's branding. Whenever you
on this one, it's not too big and it's in silver, so it looks cool. It looks smart enough. When on the big the Universal belts, I think they're probably a little bit too big, and there's not really any other design to it. It's just a big W, so that I think looks a bit crap. But this actually looks really good.
Yeah, very smart.
Of course, so this belt being introduced, one of the criticisms I've seen, and I kind of get this, is it does feel like a little bit of a consolation prize. Triple H basically admitting that no one can beat Roman Reigns, so you're going to have this title. And I kind of understand where they're coming from on that, because at the start, I feel like this will feel like a secondary title because Roman's got the two belts, he's had it for so long. But they obviously will have a chance over time to build this title to make it feel important. Any thoughts on sort of them not? Because I saw a lot of people saying they could have split the titles by like having Roman drop one or lose one in a Money in the Bank cash in, or other situations that we've discussed on this podcast.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was hoping for. I was hoping for Roman to drop a belt, and that way this title will be made. I'd have preferred that, but they obviously think so much of Roman having these two belts and the story. This must say to me, really, that this story's going on for a lot longer. I'm almost thinking that Roman's going to hold this belt again till next Mania. It
wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if they go to WrestleMania 40.
It would be very silly, I think, now they've introduced this title, if you get a Money in the Bank cash-in on Roman when you've got this belt. And I guess in a way gives something to play with, because they could give the belt to somebody, which we'll discuss in a bit of time, that maybe they don't want to hold it for too long with the vision that they'll get cashed in on. Because I don't think they can have a failed cash in. They've had two in a row, is it? A bit odd, maybe three.
It's been recently. It's been a bit of a disaster, to be honest. The Money in the Bank, especially on the men's side.
I do agree with the point that it's going to feel a bit secondary. I also feel a little bit bad for the superstars, especially, we'll discuss it more in a bit, but if you get the likes of Seth, Cody, people like that who have had amazing stories, if they just go, oh, here's a belt with no real story to it, it's just there's a belt. I think it does feel a bit secondary. Hasn't got that same buzz around it. But then again, it gives the opportunity to other people to have have a title. And Seth Rollins had a fire promo this week.
He did, and he sold it really well. It made me. We'll get to the people in a minute, but it made me want him to be the first holder of the belt.
It did, but it also, you could see him jibing a little bit when he said this title's not going to be politics and part-timers, which was an absolute shot at Roman. People like that, which I think is completely legitimate. And really, they needed this title a long time ago, I think.
Yeah. It should have been introduced a while back, and we could have had another title match at Mania then as well.
Yeah.
But if we didn't get one on Mania, one thing I did want to sort of say from our point of view, from a sort of selfish point of view, we are going to Money in the Bank, and that means hopefully we should get a big title match at Money in the Bank, even if Roman Reigns isn't there. And if Roman Reigns is there, then we could get two. And it also opens the opportunity for there to be a cash-in on the night, I think, because it's believable that the Money in the Bank holder might have their, win earlier in the night, and then you could have someone, and it's believable that they can get in. Whereas if Roman was wrestling, you wouldn't.
It seems pointless to cash in on Roman from an outsider point of view, but even from an in-ring point of view, it seems pointless because he's always got the bloodline around him. So how are you going to get a cash in on that? Whereas, this heavyweight champion really could be possibly cashed in on. And I can't get out of my head like a Seth cash in, like sort of almost replay of Mania style, which would be cool. But
so I think it's quite exciting news overall. There are some little nitpicky criticisms, but I think having that extra title was so needed on Raw. So needed. Assuming it'll be on Raw. I think Roman will say on SmackDown. So needed. I mean, the US title and the Intercontinental title have been elevated, but even so, I think Raw needed a world title, and now I'm glad they're getting one.
Probably felt like I was quite negative there. I am all for this. I just think maybe it was done a little bit the wrong way. But I've wanted Triple H and thought Triple H was going to be bringing the title in like this for a long time. But exciting to see what happens moving forward. And I love sort of tournament style setups. So I'm assuming we're going to get some build.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to ask actually before we move on to the people. What kind of format do you think there'll be, like a tournament, or do you think they'll do like a big man match, like a 6-man or a fatal 4-way?
Well, I almost kind of want a 6-man or fatal 4-way at the Clash of Champions, but I also want qualifying to get into that. I don't just want people to be given spots, which I have a bad feeling that might happen. But with a month, we've got a whole month.
Triple H loves tournament and qualifiers, though, so we might get that.
I think it'd be a great idea. And they may even want to go down a story of certain people not getting into that. Someone you'd expect, I don't know, let's say the likes of Cody, Seth, might not get into these matches.
Yeah.
And then it almost steers them more towards having to win the Money in the Bank to redeem this. So you could have a real good sort of story moving into this. Yes, there's so many options of what they could do, but I hope we're going to get some brilliant wrestling. And with the draft being here as well, I'd love to see some like NXT and some lesser known people maybe being involved in this tournament, trying to win it. I wouldn't be surprised if we have, I don't know, someone maybe like Braun Breaker getting into this match.
Yeah. That would be cool. I mean, it's a good way to introduce it. I wouldn't put the title necessarily on them. But
no, don't put the title on him, no. But get him in the match.
Someone established to establish the title. Yeah. That's going to be, when we talk about the people that, I've got a list here. So I've got 10 guys written down that I feel are people that could have the titles for some of them for different reasons. I don't know how we're going to do this, but if I just mention some names and then you can say what you think about them, and if you've got anybody yourself, you can add to them. So the first one, it's someone we've already mentioned, which is Seth Rollins. I think he's overdue a world title. I think, yes, I'd like to have seen him face Roman again and have a story there. I don't think it's happened. And if you want someone that can put on great matches and make this the title that's defended, not every week, but regularly, then there isn't a better person in the company to put it on than Seth. I don't think.
100%. It's no secret that Seth's my guy. I'd go as far as to say I think as an all-rounder, he's probably the best in the world, in my opinion, because of his on-mic skills, his in-ring. his sort of character building. But yeah, I think he's overdue a title. He's also Triple H's guy. There's no secret there. He's always been very fond of him. The story's there as well. It is there. And I mean, he's already fired off a promo, which makes it believable that he could
I think he'll definitely be in the match. I don't think there's a question that he'll be in the match.
Yeah, definitely. But I think he would be a brilliant champion, as you say, because he's there every week. The crowd are really behind him. The only worry sometimes is when they put a title on someone like this, they fizzle out quite quickly. That's my concern. But yeah, I'd love to see Roman versus Seth again. But then if he does get the title, whether it's at this stage or possibly through a Money in the Bank cash-in or something like that, you could end up with Seth vs Roman at Survivor Series.
Yeah,
I know they don't tend to do that too much now, but that could be an awesome sort of storyline. Just shooting in the dark completely there. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic pick and he would do that justice. If he doesn't win it now, I'd certainly think somewhere down the line.
Yeah, absolutely somewhere down the line. Obviously, after the draft, it'll be clearer because it's going to be for one brand and we don't know who's on which brand yet. So maybe within the next couple of weeks, it'll be clearer who's going to be there. The second option is another obvious option, and this one I'm against for other reasons, and that is Cody. I could see them doing it, but I really don't think they should put this belt on Cody because him finishing the story by just being handed a secondary title would be really, really underwhelming. He should still face Roman and eventually beat Roman, in my eyes, whenever that is, whether it's SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania, wherever it is. I think Cody should still be the guy to do that because that's the story. Him holding the big gold belt would be iconic, but I think it doesn't fit.
Like I said, I think it would fizzle out fast. I think he does better chasing.
Yeah.
He's got a better story chasing. And if he eventually gets to that, then he can have a fantastic run. But yeah, I agree. This is too soon to just dump it on him. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, he'd be, carrying that title around everywhere. He'd be a good champion, but I don't think it's the right championship for him.
No.
Someone who, again, kind of teased it on Raw a little bit, and I think would be a good first champion, Finn Balor.
Yes.
He obviously was the first Universal champion when that belt was introduced. So you can kind of mirror that with, who did he beat in that match? Seth Rollins. So you could do that again. You could do Balor and Seth again and have, Balor win. And that would really elevate the Judgment Day as well, because then you'd have two champions in the brand. I don't know how you'd get around the brand split thing there if they're on different brands. But Balor holding a championship, I wouldn't be against that. And again, he's, like you said of Seth, he's another Triple H guy through and through.
I think Balor's a good shout for sure. My only concern is they've not built him very well.
That is the downside. He lost
to Edge. He lost on was it SmackDown or Raw?
Raw. Yeah, he lost.
Which makes it unbelievable that he could win. I think
I do agree with that a little bit.
He's someone else who's probably overdue. He had an NXT title run again, but he's long overdue a title.
He's not had a proper world title run on the main roster because he had the Universal title for like a day.
Yeah,
and then
wrecked his shoulder, didn't he? And a match against Seth from a buckle bomb. That was a shame. I was thinking, watching him the other day when he lost, actually, how different the landscape could be if he'd have not been injured.
Mm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Crazy, isn't it, to think everything could be completely different?
Yeah, definitely. A person, number 4 on my list, is someone that could be due to return, and that is AJ Styles. Yes. Him coming back and being pushed immediately into a top spot, maybe with the help of Gallows and Anderson, would be great. AJ having another run. I think he's got another world title run in him.
I'd love to see that, even if it's just a short one, maybe until someone cashes in on him. I think would be good and great to push him straight to the top without having to build himself up. I wouldn't mind seeing heel AJ, to be fair. Yeah,
well, if you had Gallows and Anderson help him, that could be a heel way of doing it, and then you could have someone, maybe a babyface, win the Money in the Bank and cash in there, or like someone like a Seth or someone, I don't know, but you could really do something there with AJ if he returns, because I think he'll be hot when he returns. An outsider bet, but again, someone who returned recently and never got that world title moment is Shinsuke Nakamura. A bit like the AJ Styles situation. He's just come back. I feel like they're going to push him. I do think I've heard rumors of him being Roman's next challenger rather than this. But it wouldn't surprise me if he was drafted to the belt side. It wouldn't surprise me if he was in the tournament or in the match or whatever they do. I don't think he would win it, but he's someone that, again, had won a Royal Rumble, didn't win the title. The Triple H might go, do you know what? You can have a little run with it here. Let's push you higher up the card again, because I do think he's going to be pushed, but I don't know if he'll push him quite to this level.
Yeah, definitely. No, similar views to you on Shinsuke, really. He's getting some sort of video packages in at the moment.
Yeah.
No, Triple H really likes him. And yeah, it's this, whoever wins the belt, because of the positioning, doesn't have to carry it for too long. So it could be not an interim champion, but someone to carry it for a month or two, get some limelight prior to a potential cash in. I know we keep going around Money in the Bank, but the likelihood of Roman being cashed in on now is so
exactly. Yeah. And we are close to Money in the Bank. And obviously they could hold the Money in the Bank briefcase for months, but they could also cash in very quickly. So we don't know. Someone else I've got on my list is Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, 100%.
He's obviously going for the United States Championship, but I don't think he needs to win that belt back again. I haven't got Austin Theory on my list because he's the United States champion, but he could be an outside bet. But Lashley, for me, obviously he's been a world champion fairly recently in the last couple of years, but he's someone that you can always easily put a belt on. So yeah, again, that's all I really got.
Definitely could. I don't think he will, but you can't count him out 100%. No. He's still very popular, although not quite at the level that he was. But we know he can do it, and he had a great run. So
exactly, yeah. Someone else who we know can do it and had a great run, and I think would deserve this moment because he didn't get his moment in front of fans, is Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
And him
not doing anything at the moment, is he?
No, yeah, exactly. And the first pay-per-view after the Saudi show is Money in the Bank in the UK. So how good would it be for Drew to walk out in the UK with a World Heavyweight Championship defense?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
It makes sense. He is someone high on my list to win this. Again, he gets his moment in front of fans, and because of the UK coming up, I think he could be the face of the show.
He's also been playing into things on social media about him being unhappy and things like that, which could really this could be the story driving into that. The thing is, his character seems like it might be teetering on being a heel.
Yeah, potentially it could be as a heel, but I think in the UK it would still probably cheer him regardless. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and again, he's someone who deserves that moment in front of fans. My next person on the list isn't someone I think has a chance of winning it, but someone I would love to get pushed into this level and like the rocket put on him is LA Knight. Yeah.
He's so over at the moment.
Yeah, he's over.
He should be put in
at the right age where he's not going to be around for like 10 years and build him. He's in like a prime now where you could go, do you know what? Let's elevate him now, put a title on him. Maybe it gets cashed in the 2 months, but and the promo
so good, wouldn't he? He's another candidate that you potentially want to have a briefcase and cash in, but
if you're not going to have him with the Money in the Bank, I think he's an outside bet for this. I don't think he will, but he is someone I'd love to see them put on there.
The beauty of this is there's so many people that it could fall on, and that shows that their rosters is far more broad than it once was.
Yes, there's definitely people.
Slightly.
I mean, there's people that aren't even on my list. I mean, I even thought of Solo Sikoa because of the more titles in the bloodline. There's obviously Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I would have considered if they weren't tag champs. If they lose the belts on Friday because they're defending. If they do lose the belts, they could be an option. There's so many people you could you can go with.
Well, people that I don't even know the status of, that you wouldn't bat an eyelid if they were put in this match. Someone like Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, Randy Orton is obviously another obvious one.
Orton would be awesome.
Someone else on my list then, number 9, is someone that probably wouldn't be popular as a fan's choice, but I could see WWE doing, Logan Paul. Because, I mean, there's a lot of talk about him potentially being.
And he said he's wanted a belt, hasn't he?
Yeah, Logan. I can imagine him winning Money in the Bank and walking around, doing his podcasts, walking around with the briefcase.
Oh yeah,
publicity for WWE. But you could also do that with a World Championship belt. It's in Saudi Arabia, so he's likely. It's one of those shows he's probably likely to wrestle on.
He actually said the other day he thanked sort of all the people who wrestle weekly, and he said for me to do it 4 times a year, which is interesting.
Yeah,
because that means 4 pay-per-views, really, doesn't it? That's what.
Yeah, it'll be SummerSlam.
And what's he had so far? He's had WrestleMania.
Yeah,
he did.
He did the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble. So there's 2, as you said, SummerSlam. So potentially, when would the other one be?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, and then maybe Survivor Series.
Yeah,
or SummerSlam.
Or Money in the Bank, and he gets cashed in on.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, that you could see them doing.
I really would not be opposed to having Logan Paul win this belt and then get cashed in on.
I don't think he should be the first champion, because I think
it'd be hilarious, though, wouldn't it?
I think it would be setting a bad precedent. But
it would be bad.
Him winning at some point, like him cashing in on the champion we like.
We're not going to get Logan Paul win Money in the Bank. Although saying that, he would be incredible in that match.
Yeah, he would. I think he might be in the match. It wouldn't surprise me. And he'll get booed like hell in the UK. And then to round off, my 10th person was Sheamus. I think it makes more sense for him to win the Continental title off of Gunther still eventually, because that's the one he wants. But if he's not doing that, he's not someone I would oppose to winning. I struggled for my 10th person. I could have gone with Solo. I've seen people suggest The Miz. I've seen people suggest Baron Corbin. I've seen people suggest, someone on our Twitter, actually, I can't remember their name, sorry if you're listening, but suggested Baron Corbin, but I just don't see in what world that could possibly happen at the moment, I'm afraid. But Sheamus is someone that has earned that respect, I think, in the last year, and has been pushed a lot, that he could potentially win a title. You there, Crusty?
Sorry, I had some connection problems there. What was that?
Oh, sorry. Said? I don't know what you heard and what you didn't hear.
Just carry on, Fisher. I've got.
So I was saying Sheamus anyway.
Oh, Sheamus, yeah. Sheamus could be a brilliant shout. As you said earlier, you mentioned the Intercontinental title. I think he'd be far better with that. Just to make that Grand Slam happen. But putting him in the match, if it is going to be one of these big matches where they throw so many people in, I think he could be incredible. Yeah,
I agree. And that is all I have on my list. Anybody else you want to talk about before we sort of close this up?
Possible names, to be honest, it depends what's happening at Backlash. Does Gunther have a match at Backlash at the moment?
Like it, because there's 7 matches on the card and he's not on the card.
Really, I'm just thinking you could potentially have some way of him dropping his belt at Backlash, and then even having Gunther go into for this title and potentially winning it.
I mean, I would absolutely love that. The only reason, again, I didn't include him in Theory purely because they already have belts, but Theory is one that could lose it because he's in a triple threat match. So it wouldn't surprise me if Theory lost it and then got put in this, but Gunther as well is a possibility without a doubt. And at some point he should be a world champion, but I just don't know how close that is. I think he's going to be in the Continental title for a little bit longer, personally. But yeah,
definitely. I like the fact that he's carrying that belt and he's just going to keep hold of it. So I think it'll be brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, to be honest, I think you've gone through everyone I'd have thought of. The sort of people we haven't seen in a while, someone like AJ Styles, is definitely a good shout as well. I don't think WWE would put it on any outsiders.
No.
And we know they're on sort of an unannounced temporary employment ban anyway.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think they're all sort of the main contenders. Somebody that could be a complete undercard that could potentially, the likelihood of them winning it very, very low, but being put into the matchup or at least in contention, maybe the Miz.
Yeah, Riddle's another one I thought potentially could be involved.
Yeah.
He's being quite pushed at the moment. Yeah, I did mention that, like I say, someone on our Twitter mentioning Baron Corbin, but I don't see.
I would like to see him involved because I think this is how you make his character progress even more.
It could be in the tournament for sure, but I just don't think it'd be believable at all that he could win it. So right now, I wouldn't put him in the conversation, but down the line, maybe.
I always feel bad that he lost his cash in.
I don't think there should be any part-timers in there. I don't think Brock Lesnar should be in contention for this because that completely defeats the point of the title. Because if you've got Roman part-time on the brand, you don't want Lesnar. You don't want
Goldberg
like that. But yeah, you don't want any of these guys winning. And that's why I'm another reason against Logan Paul, to be fair.
Yes. Yeah, it needs to be someone a workhorse who's going to be there week in, week out. Do you think there's a chance possibly like Johnny Gargano could be involved in this? He's Triple H.
Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I know Triple H likes him, but right now he's not
that much.
No.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the big stars, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's your first champion. You need someone legit.
I'll tell you what, to finish off, if you had to pick a top three, about order, who would you choose?
My top three picks would be Seth, 1. I'm going to say Drew McIntyre 2 for the reasons that I've stated. And then I'm torn between Balor and AJ for 3. But I'll say Balor because AJ's not there right now, so I'll say Balor.
I think I would go Seth, Drew and Cody, to be honest. AJ is well up there, but I think it's more likely to be one of those 3.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's not who I want, by the way. That's what
Yeah.
Although it's not far wrong, to be honest. It's really not far wrong. Of who I'd like to have it, to be fair. But exciting times. Really looking forward to seeing what happens here. And I think it's going to bring a new dynamic to the weekly shows.
Absolutely. And it should be really good.
Yeah, well, I hope you've enjoyed this. We are Recharge Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle, where we'll tweet out news, what we're doing on latest videos, podcasts, things like that. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. And if you've stumbled across this somehow and don't know, just search Recharge Wrestling and you will find us on there. And we'll see you probably at some point next week. Bye.
Goodbye.